Alright everyone, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video here along US Route 24 as we drove from Colorado Springs up to Divide, Colorado. So right here is where US-24 leaves behind the Great Plains and starts heading up into the Rocky Mountains. And as you can see right here, as we pass through Manitou Springs, you just get really amazing views of Pikes Peak here as we begin our journey up Waldo Canyon. I drove this route back in April of 2020, and now we're driving it again here in October of 2024. And obviously that old video is not 4K quality, while this new one is. So once this video goes live on YouTube, that video and all the subsequent videos following along US-24 along this series here that we drive out to Buena Vista will also be taken down and replaced by the next videos that come along. So while my grandpa and I were here in Colorado, this was day number 4, and to be honest, it was kind of our free day to really just kind of do whatever we wanted. And the night before, I was just kind of thinking like, you know, I recorded a lot of videos from 2019 and 2020 that weren't 4K quality yet because I had actually bought the 4K camcorder about a few months later after that trip, so I just kind of wanted to go up into the mountains there and refilm all of these videos here with much higher quality. And then of course all of those old videos also had copyrighted music, so I just wanted to remake all of these videos here for you guys to enjoy without having to worry about them being taken down for any like reasons like copyright or anything like that. And then of course these much more improved versions here 4 years later are much better quality in other aspects as well, because I like to think I get better at making these videos as time goes along. And I can say too that my grandpa really enjoyed driving along this stretch of US-24 here as we made our way up into the mountains, and then later on in the day, of course, we saw many of the 14ers there in the Sawatch Range out there near Buena Vista and Leadville. So it was just a really fun day overall, and I'm really glad I got to show my grandpa a lot of the places that I got to see during some of my previous trips to Colorado, which he didn't get to see because he wasn't with me during my 2019 and 2020 trips to Colorado. And one big thing that we actually did before recording this video here was we actually drove up to Pikes Peak the previous day, which was extremely fun, and I'm really glad that I got to show my grandpa that, because believe it or not, I was at the top of Pikes Peak in 2019, and then my grandpa was telling me that he hadn't been to Pikes Peak since he was a little kid, at least 60 years, so it's just really cool to actually bring my grandpa back to the top of Pikes Peak for the first time since he was basically a child, so I thought that was really cool. And that's something I highly recommend doing if you're in this area right here, because you will definitely not regret driving to the top of Pikes Peak, especially if it's a clear day like the days that we were there and filming like this. Alright everyone, I just want to give a shout out to all my social media accounts that you see on the screen here, because I really am trying to grow my social media accounts beyond just here on YouTube. I would really appreciate it if you guys would check out my Instagram. I'm really trying to grow that social media platform, so I would really appreciate it if you guys would follow me on there. My username is just InterstateKyle. What's really cool about my Instagram is if I'm on a road trip, I will post on my story of where I am and what I'm doing, so it's just a really cool way for you guys to follow along with me in real time to see what I'm doing and what I'm up to. I know my videos on here can get pretty dated very quickly, so if you guys want to see what I'm doing in real time, I highly recommend checking out my Instagram, and I would really appreciate your support over there. You guys can also check out my Facebook group and my Twitter/X account. The links to all those are down in the description. Another thing I want to give a shout out to is my Patreon, which is a way for you guys to support me beyond YouTube here. If you guys want to join my Patreon, you guys can get special perks for joining, like watching all of my videos early before they are released here on YouTube. And all the money I make on there goes right back into this YouTube channel to keep producing more of these types of videos in the future. The link to my Patreon is also down in the description, so if you really want to check it out, I would really appreciate your extra support over there as well. And another thing that is set up on my channel is Super Thanks, which is located to the right of where you would normally like one of my videos. What that basically is just a way for you guys to tip me out for each video going forward if you feel that I've earned it, of course. And then all the money on there also goes right back to this channel to keep producing more of these types of videos in the future. And with all that said, folks, I really hope you all enjoyed this ride here along US-24 between Colorado Springs and Divide, Colorado. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all have an amazing day, and take care, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to the next adventure. We will see you next time.